Thank you everyone for joining this call. This is something that I wanted to do as an alumni specialist here at ECPI. My name is Sarah Arthur. I have three fantastic panelists here. I have Raphael Ebba, Nicholas Saichon, and Robert Downing. They are three amazing CIS alumni from ECPI who are all doing different things within the program. And I hope that you as CIS students can get a better understanding about where you want to go after you complete your degree, or if you already know, maybe one of these guys has the job title that you are looking for. So I am going to kind of explain a little bit how this is going to go. We are going to have the panelists speak one at a time. They are going to speak for about 10 to 15 minutes each in a question and answer format. And then once we finish all three panelists, then I will open the floor for questions. So without further ado, we are actually going to start with Robert Downing. He is a 2022 bachelor's in cybersecurity graduate. So he's 3 months out of graduation. He is currently working at Drone Up as a service desk lead. So Robert, I would love to kind of get to know you a little bit more and know about your career since you've graduated. So my first question, if you could explain to everyone what your current role is and where you work and a little bit about what your company does.
Well, thank you, first of all, Sarah, for having us tonight. And thank you for everybody that joined. It's a pleasure, and it's actually an honor to be standing next to the two other gentlemen who are highly qualified and successful in their own fields. So I'm currently the service desk lead at Drone Up. We are, so let's start off a little bit about the company. We're leading drone services, flight services provider. So we do everything from flight surveys to deliveries with our drones. So basically what my team does is we're the entry-level technical support team. So we're the intake center for all technical support requests. We do everything from regarding corporate support to helping our hubs out in the field. As you know, we have 32 hubs across 5 states. With Walmart nationwide. So we do everything from messing with software on the drones to account creation, to access requests, to equipment and asset management. We're basically generalists where we touch a little bit of everything on the surface level. I have 5 people that work with me, and we have a great team. We're a very new team, and we're running with Walmart right now. So when you run with the elephants, Mark Cuban says just the quick and the dead. So we're trying to be as fast as we can. So yeah.
Recently, really awesome company. If you guys want to learn more about them, you look them up. It's they're doing some pretty cool things with drones. But let's hear more about, like, you walk into the office. What are your kind of day-to-day tasks? Like, I know you say that it varies every day, it changes, but what are some of the things that you do?
So being in a service desk, everything is work tickets. So first thing we do is, if we're not in meetings or taking calls, we're monitoring our ticket queue. And like I said, we have a wide variety of tickets. So we're the intake center. So we're mainly a software company. So we have a lot of different developers, security, cloud, networking. We have a variety of different types of tickets. So first of all, it's getting the initial information gathering steps, triaging the ticket, getting the different type of information needed, and trying the basic rudimentary technical support that we can do at our level to see. You want to always try the least invasive fix and then escalate that up. So it starts out, it gets assigned to my level ones. The level ones will do their triage. They'll get to a point of escalation or resolution if we're lucky. And so by the time it gets to me, it's already been QA'd by the level 2s. They've done additional steps. And then I'll either, if it gets escalated or if it needs further triage, we make that request. But I think what differentiates us from other help desks is the type of different situations we get to tackle. So we get the access that you don't normally get on a service desk. And so it's pretty cool. So as I could say, we do a lot of access, account creation, and the rudimentary like corporate level stuff. But then we also get to touch like the proprietary software that makes Drone Up successful. And I like to say the #1 drone company in America. I might be biased, but it's to be able to mess with the allocation of the different drones, the different softwares, the perimeters, being able to just support and keep the flight operational readiness at all of our hubs is probably our #1 goal. That is our moneymaker, and that is our #1 driver for where we're at.
Students on here that are currently studying what you studied. Was this a job that you expected to take on when you graduated, or how is it different or similar to what you expected in the workforce?
So what I really like, I've worked at 3 jobs. 2 of them were while I was working full time. So I use that to really garner my resume to prepare me for a job that I have now. What really resonates with me where I'm at now is, and at ECPI is being a big veteran community and being able to work at that same tempo and pace. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, so I really like that type of tempo and that drive. And it's all it is here is mission accomplishment, mission readiness, and just keeping that fast-paced tempo. We've opened 32 hubs in the past year, and to be able to meet that demand, when Walmart says, you got 32 hubs to open and there's 4 different drone companies vying for that spot, and we make it. It's really a sense of accomplishment. You come together as a team, which you really got ingrained with being at other veterans at ECPI, which I really enjoyed. And it really prepared me to be able to meet this kind of demand and work at this kind of pace.
What kind of characteristics do you think that someone would need to hold the job title that you have at your company? I know you said work ethic, you have to keep up with, rolling with the punches and things like that. But is there anything else you can think of?
Absolutely. So my team is customer service facing. We have to keep a good face on even when you have an angry customer, whether that's internal in the company or if it's a customer calling in another service desk. We're generalists, so you have to have a good baseline of knowledge for all different type of technical problems, and to be able to also maintain and update your documentation. Your documentation and your knowledge base is your lifeline. So that is the #1 success to a service desk company or team that I've ever been at is, do you keep your knowledge base up to date? So if you have a hard work ethic, you can keep a smile on and be able to deal with angry customers, good customers, just keep that customer service going, and then keep your technical knowledge up to date. I think those are 3 of the biggest factors for at least being on a service desk that will make you successful and get you ready for the next team that you go to.
You had 3 jobs from when you were in school at ECPI and your current position. What were those 3 jobs? What was your career path like after graduation?
So I got my associate's degree and graduated in 2019, and then COVID hit. So I started ECPI back in, I believe it was May of 2020, might have been March. And so COVID hit, we're just working from remote. There was no in classes. So by the time I got bored, I hadn't had any practical experience for like 2 years before that when I was in the Marine Corps active duty. So I didn't think I was going to get a job. I didn't know what happened. So first thing, I hope I'm sticking to the point here. First thing I did was reach out to my career services and get the externship lined up. So my first job was at a local managerial service provider. They're basically a third-party IT company for medium to small size companies. And so I started on their desktop the deployment team or desktop technician team. I started as just making $10 an hour. I went in there, just put my head down and just popped off work. Just made sure I was closing tickets, make sure that my machines were better than everybody else. By the end of my 5-week externship, they asked me to be the supervisor of all 7 deployment technicians back there. And then they phased out. And by the time they phased out, we had 4 more spots open, and they would come from all different schools, TCC, ODU, Norfolk State. And then so I spoke with my manager, and we got with Jessica Desmond from the Virginia Beach campus career services, and she gave us 4 highly qualified candidates, 3 of which we hired. I'm still very good friends with all 3 of them till this day. And they're all successful. They've moved past those jobs, but that was my first job, was to really get in the door. And I didn't really care about how much I was making. It was more to get that practical experience for that resume. In this field, I think there's 3, and I'll probably highlight this later, but there's 3 major things that you need. You need certifications, you need education, you need practical experience. Really think ECPI set me up for success by getting me into the door at a company as good as they did. And Jessica was very good at prepping me for that, giving me the right interview, the pay negotiations from A to Z. She was wonderful. She spent countless hours for me for all three of my jobs. My second job was working at Steel. They STIHL. Their main plant is in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and they make chainsaws. But they're the best at what they do, highest quality of service. So I really got to learn a lot there. I overhauled their off-domain, which is just locally programmed computers. It was a $300,000 project, and that really geared me for that. And I leaned on a lot of my faculty and staff, especially Mr. Blow, Joe Blow. He's the man. Anytime I need something, he's there. And so he really helped me out, revamp that. And I did it by myself, which if I was at my last job, I would have had a team of 7 people assisting me with that. So, and then now I'm working at Drone Up. I did all that while working full time and was still able to maintain, which it's possible, but I eased into it. I started part-time at school and part-time work, and I picked up full-time, and then just ran with it. So I would highly, highly recommend using your career services, getting that externship, working while you're going to school, get that practical experience. I haven't at this point achieved any certifications, but that is also, if you ever want to get off a service desk, that is probably the number one thing to achieve, is get those certifications.
Awesome. So I know you've already kind of mentioned a couple points of advice for the current students here at ECPI right now, but is there anything else, any other advice that you could give them to help them succeed, not only in their education, but also in the workforce after they graduate?
It's all about networking. You want to maintain good relationships coming in and leaving out of a company. You want your name to hold the work ethic and the class that you come in with. So if you put your name on something, treat it as you're getting paid $1 million to do it. And if you maintain that good reputation and carry that name with you wherever you go, and maintain those good relationships with faculty, with your fellow students, with any employer that you go to, whether it's a menial job making $10 an hour to making the big bucks, you should have that same work ethic and that same drive to keep that reputation and those relationships intact. If you do that and tie those 3 pillars of the certifications, the education, and the practical experience, you'll be successful wherever you go.
Just a reminder for everyone, if you have questions for Robert, put them in the chat. We will actually answer those at the very end after all 3 people are done speaking. But thank you again, Robert. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity, Sarah. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, Nicholas, you're next.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, so Nicholas is a 2017 bachelor's in cybersecurity graduate. He is a system administrator tier 2 at CACI. And he is here to answer any questions you guys have about the system administrator job title. So Nicholas, just the first question, if you could explain your current role at your company and kind of what your company does.
Yes. So my company, just to start off with that, CACI International Inc., we're a $6.2 billion company with approximately 22,000 employees. Our main focus is the public sector. So we support all the different departments of government along with the military. Our main markets are going to be enterprise IT, digital solutions, mission support, engineering services, and not to forget about C4ISR, which includes cyber and space. But those are the main markets that we focus on, and we support our troops through those factions. My job specifically, it says system administrator, but when you get into the contracting world, it's very, very vague as to what you actually do. So what I am is I deal with software and patching. So I have a lot of automation that's involved. So I use, if you're familiar with it, Microsoft's automation tool, which is Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Management. It usually integrates with Intune if you're into the Azure side. That hasn't been broken through yet, but mainly, just as Robert was saying, I have tickets for myself, not a front line. I'm more of The cyber is my directorate. So if there's things going on like a high vulnerability, an executive order, things need to get done now. The different types of tickets go around, but we do also follow an ITIL process. So that's something that's good to know. A lot of companies are moving to that. What ITIL is just a framework of how you manage your tickets and how you manage work and workflows around the company and that office specifically. But to put it specifically, my day-to-day, I'm messing with PowerShell scripts every day, looking up different ways how to install third-party type software, like from craziness, from like something simple as like Adobe, they like to change stuff all the time, all the way to SAP products, to where that's just, it'll blow your mind on how to get that installed by command and different ways of that sort. So, and then also taking that and integrating it into what's called a PowerShell app deployment toolkit. It's a new thing that for PowerShell, where they have actually few developers create a module to where it'll streamline your third-party applications to where your lower tier, your tier 2 help desk and your system admins can just click one button and it'll go. It'll just install with whatever configurations you have, whatever answer files, things of that sort, responses, all of that, all done. So you only have one object to load into your automation, and very simple command readouts. It's just, so I went to a little nitty gritty there, but yeah, that's my main stick is PowerShell application development. As far as that goes, troubleshooting, Windows updates, don't get me started on that. They break all the time, so get used to troubleshooting Windows updates. But yeah.
Awesome. So how is your job different or similar to what you were expecting to do when you graduated?
Well, it's different because when I was in school, and we were always focused on building servers and building the networks and being there from the ground up, which I'm gonna put it to you straight here, is that if you're able to get into that type of position where you're at the ground level and you're actually building the networks and you're building the infrastructure, take it. Because it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of information. But it's going to be really hard to come by because there's a lot of places that are already there and stood up. They just need your assistance to maintain and to better whatever is there existing. So proposing a new technology involved into the networking world, not 100% familiar like it used to be, but not anymore. I stay on my side where I'm mainly Windows now. But yeah, I thought I was going to be building servers and networks and things of that sort. And then this job came along and was like, oh, you're going to start here. And, but yeah, we'll go into that.
That a candidate would need to have your current job?
Vigilance, integrity, and good character. Mainly in the, it goes for all companies, but there is a very big shtick on being a very, very well-rounded, good person in the government, because you're dealing with information that's sensitive. So that's where the integrity comes involved. And then the vigilance. You have to be vigilant on, that's basically our company motto, because we're dealing with such highly sensitive information that if it's not secured in the proper amount of time, we're talking about risks to the country. And good character just follows in with both of those. If you got both integrity and vigilance, you're going to have some type of good character.
Bit about when you were in school at ECPI, your career path that you took that ultimately placed you in your current position.
So when I was in school, it happened probably around I want to say between the sophomore and junior term, where I started off at Liberty Tax Solution Company. I did the tickets service desk. Took whatever I could get. Worked weird hours because I was going to school days, and then I would go there nights, and it would be full time. So I would just stay up from 5 till 1 in the morning, and then go and do it all over again every day. From there, I actually started working for ECPI. It's one of the ways where I didn't really have much of an externship to call it, because I worked for the campus. Started off actually in where Sarah is. I started off as the alumni coordinator, or I don't know what they called it before, but yeah, so I did that for a little while, and then they pulled me out of there and then actually put me into an IT role in the medical campus next door. But then the jobs started flooding in from the outside, and I stayed there for about 4 months. And then that's when before then I started my clearance process, and that's what takes the longest time for a general amount of people. Mine was pretty quick because I'm boring, but so they adjudicated that, and then once that was adjudicated, I started working for a place called the contract was called NMCI. You'll hear that a lot because it's a very, very large network. It's one of the largest public networks in the world, besides the internet. So that was at the Norfolk Naval Base when it's been switching companies a lot lately. I was working for Apex, but Apex was contracted to HP. They've changed at NMCI from HP to DXC to prospective. That's another thing that you're gonna have to get used to in the contracting world, is that the companies change all the time. But I stayed there for about 5 months. Actually, we attempted, I say we as the entire team, to do the Windows 10 SHB IPU upgrade, in-place upgrade. That was a chore. It was really fun to try to get that solidified, but stayed there for about 5 months because I put another application in because my clearance is now adjudicated and I'm not interim anymore. I'm good to go. I can go for a big boy position. So that's when I started off at CICI. At CICI, I started off as a system administrator T1. And now in my position, like I said, it's very generalized as that goes. So I started off in incidents there again. Did some work with their technical management team, building out servers and applications. Some of them are homegrown applications by our developers. Been at this office for 5 years. Went from there to T2. Actually, I I stayed there for about 2 years. I wanted to try out what the government was like actually working for the government. So I went civilian. I joined as a civilian worker. Didn't like it very much. Went straight back to contractor. It's a really big world. So you got a lot of choices, but I was always wanting to try to experience everything and not take anything for granted. But that's why my company is great, is because they allowed me to come back when I figured out that, the grass was greener over there. And I came back, and that's one of those things about what's important is communication. Like Robert was saying, is that when you build those bridges and you keep them, you're able to go back and go forward wherever you want. So from there, I came back T2, and a lot has happened within the past 2.5 years with COVID. I've been working remote. I don't go into the office anymore. I'm 100% remote. Just actually got approved for that, like just recently. So I work from my house all the time. Like I just wake up, don't even put actual human pants on. You go outside, I just wear pajamas and I'm good. It's one of our favorites on the team. But another very amazing thing that has happened to me just before this call got solidified. I told Sarah about it, and it actually, as we speak, is getting worked right now. And I have just received a promotion, and I am now a manager that is leading 3 people, and this is within 5 years. So it's just a testament to how much, and to let you guys know, the only certification that I had coming out of school was Security Plus. That's it. Thank you so much, Raf. I really appreciate that, man. But so that's not to mention that there's not a lot on the job training. It may not be a big cert like Microsoft, but you're always going to be learning something and getting some type of certification. Like I have a CyberArk cert, haven't touched it. I did it because our company needed it for it to be a qualification, so that way we can get CyberArk in the door and get us some help from the actual company. So, and now they're actually starting to request us formally that we're needing to get some AWS certs. So that's what I'm working on, is on top of my management stuff that I've been doing. I did about like 40 to 50 hours worth of training, PMI training, a whole bunch of other just books and audio books, things of that sort, podcasts, and my AWS. So there's a lot of like personal work you need to put into it outside of being at the job and doing your dailies.
Got your Security Plus certification.
Yes.
Was that required to get that initial job when you graduated, or did it help?
So I will always say that Security Plus is going to help you, especially in this area. If you're able to get a job without Security Plus in this area, you're lucky. You consider it a stroke of luck. You hit a gold mine. Because it's so competitive in this area, a lot of the jobs that are going to come forth to you, the first things that are come is going to be contracting jobs. When it comes to contracting, you cannot touch a keyboard with any type of administrative rights without Security Plus. So Security Plus is the highest like expectation when you come out of school. Like you got that degree, if you want to be competitive, Security Plus. And then you worry about what your job wants you to get. You focus in, so keep yourself in there, imagine what you want to be and you want to grow into. But when you find a company you love, like I did, CICI, I love CICI, so I'm going to do what helps them. It's no longer me anymore. I'm supporting a team of 3 and I'm supporting this company. So I'm going to do what makes them more competitive in our world. So that's another mindset you gotta become comfortable with once you become experienced.
But do you have any bits of advice for current students?
I would say that in school right now, I don't know where you are in it, but it doesn't matter. It applies everywhere. Communication. I think that was that could be a huge falter or a success at the same time. Like if you don't have communication and your professor doesn't know where you are, or you're late to class, and or something came up, just be honest, be open to them, let them know that, hey, X, Y, and Z happened, but I'm here and I need help with this. And then they'll pair you up with somebody that's already done it and they'll get it done for you. But if you just stay there and you try to hide it the whole way, it's going to rear back on you and it's not going to be good for you. So be upfront, be honest, communicate, be there, be present, and you'll get through it. You're welcome.
And if anyone has any questions for Nicholas, just put it in the chat and we'll answer it after Raphael is done with his. So thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you.
Raphael, it's your turn. Everyone, this is Raphael Ebba. He is a 2016 bachelor's degree in cybersecurity graduate And he is currently a penetration tester and security engineer at Convergence Networks. Raphael, if you want to maybe go into a little bit about what Convergence does and how your role plays into the company.
Yeah, okay, appreciate it. So Convergence Networks is a managed service provider. So kind of like what Robert spoke about earlier, they provide IT and security services to other businesses that usually don't invest. They invest more of their money in other areas of their business, and they kind of outsource their IT services. So in that company, I specifically work in a small branch with our security and consulting services. So a small team of 5, and we kind of handle just the specific security related projects of that company.
Awesome. So what does your day-to-day look like? You go into your job, you're a penetration tester. What are your daily tasks? I'm sure it changes every day, but kind of give us a little bit of insight.
Yeah, so it's going to depend on the phase of my job. So with penetration testing, which is basically ethical hacking, so it'll depend on the phase. So it always starts off with meeting with the client with a kickoff to verify the do's and don'ts of the project. In penetration testing, it's very important to make sure you kind of go through that, because that's what keeps you out of jail and keeps your company from getting sued. So a lot of discussions with clients, so there's a lot of customer service needed there. So then on different days, I might be doing open source intelligence. So I'll be depending on the client, I'll be digging up publicly accessible information on clients to determine what can be used against them. So what employees are easy targets, who's posting information about their company publicly on their social media. Does their public website disclose client information that they shouldn't be disclosing? So that kind of information is what I'll do investigations on. So then would be maybe another day I'll be doing scanning and enumeration. So I'll be scanning their actual infrastructure, enumerating services that they have installed. What patches are they not applying? I'm the opposite of Nick. So I'll be looking for the lazy versions of Nick who say they want to do their updates next week. So I'll take advantage of that. Then the fun part is the exploitation, right? So now that we have all the information gathered, now that we know what services are running, we know that they're unfortunately running 2008 servers. The exploitation phase is to take advantage of those vulnerabilities that I find and use that to gain access into the network. So that's everyone's nightmare. It's a fun day for me. Just to kind of wrap it up, once you're in the network and you have access to a machine or a service, the next step is to overtake the entire network, right? From that simple Windows machine that someone opened the link and let me in, can I get local administrator access to their machine? Can I scrape Nick's credentials from the domain admin that's logged into the computer, because they all have to log in at one point? And then from that point, can I gain access to the domain controller? And a lot of you will know this depending on where you're at in your time at ECPI. But as a domain admin, you own the whole network. So from that point, can I create users to use maliciously against everyone else? Can I use that to social engineer and contact other employees and say, hey, can you give me access to the file server? And so on. So as fun as all that is, probably the most important part of the job is the deliverable, which is providing that report. At the end of the day, everything I do doesn't mean anything if that report isn't created with quality and able to communicate with the clients that these are your holes, this is how I got in, and this is how you fix it. Because if I don't get that message across, someone else may do that, like Russia, China, Sweden, all these other countries, which they do attempt every day.
Different or similar to what you expected you were going to do when you graduated? Was penetration testing kind of your goal? And how is it similar?
So when I first got in, that was the coolest sounding thing, was to be a hacker, right? But as I started going through ECPI, I started falling in love with networking. So working with routers, switches, firewalls, absolutely loved it. Had so much fun taking the hands-on classes at ECPI, and that really drove me there. But you know, it was always a goal to become a penetration tester or a red teamer at some point. And as far as what I expected it to be, it's definitely as exciting, if not more exciting than I ever thought it could be. I wake up every morning excited to start trying to break into stuff legally. And one of the fun parts about it is I do a lot of testing on my wife and my parents and other relatives. Don't ever do it on anyone else without permission, because you lose your whole career that way. But you get to play around with a lot of tools that are open source. And another thing I didn't expect was it is much harder than I expected it to be. I'll talk about that later.
Need to hold your job title?
So definitely communication skills. So I can tell you with a lot of companies I've worked with, even if you're highly technical and you can break into whatever's thrown your way, if you can't communicate that message, like I said earlier, it's all worth nothing. So if you're unable to communicate with clients, which unfortunately with penetration testing, you do have to talk a lot with clients, because that's your deliverable to everybody that you work for. You're not going to get anywhere without communication. Passion and motivation. In penetration testing, there's a lot of tools. There's millions of tools out there. And the tools I'm using this week will be ineffective 2 weeks from now, because antiviruses will pick up on that just like that. So you have to do a lot of research and stay up to date on technology, on current attack tools, on defensive tools also. And if you're not passionate or motivated to do that, you'll burn out pretty quick, and you'll find yourself hitting a wall pretty much every time. And then, just the three basics for pen testing: security concepts, networking, and knowing Linux. So Linux is definitely intimidating to get into. But once you really get in the motion of that, it's a lot more fun than Windows, and it's a lot faster. You don't have load times like Windows does. I see Nick and Robert. Yep, no, they're there yet. I know how it was. I was a system admin for 5 years. And then the last characteristic is the ability to think outside the box like a hacker, right? There's tools out there to use that break into things, but if you can't think what a hacker is going to try to do, right? They're not going to try to break into your firewall. They're going to try to look for someone that's vulnerable, who looks like they're going to add your friend request on Facebook the second you send it to them. What details can you get from them? What hobbies are they into? Because they post on Twitter every day that they love basketball, and so on. So you do absolutely need to think like a hacker when you're doing this kind of job.
Want to ask you about your certifications, and everyone hold your breath because he has a long list here. So can you tell us what certifications that you hold?
Absolutely. So I have the CompTIA Security Plus. I cannot agree with Nick more than that in anything else. It's very important in being in cybersecurity to know your security basics, but it's even more important to have that cert to get any job on the government side. They won't take you if you don't have that. That was my first certification. I got that maybe 2 months before graduating ECPI, and that's what got me my first job. The next one was the CCNA, because that networking was my thing. That was my passion at the time, and my job absolutely needed that. The next one is the VMware Certified Professional. So it goes along with system administration, but everything is being virtualized. If it's not virtualized, it's in the cloud. So I got my VMware Certified Professional cert for that. And then also to be on the risk and compliance side, I got my certified CMMI associate. So that's for doing audits, helping to do audits for the government side. And then when I really switched into high gear and was pursuing penetration testing, I got my certified ethical hacker cert. So that's like one of the most well-known certs for getting into pen testing or just cybersecurity in general. Then I got my Pen Test Plus by CompTIA, my CompTIA Network Vulnerability Assessment Professional. And then the real technical ones came in here for penetration testing, which started with the eLearn Security Junior Pen Tester. That was the good technical basics of pen testing. And then I got my eLearn Security Certified Professional Penetration Tester. So that was what solidified everything. Currently studying for my OSCP. I was hoping to get that before this call, but I had to postpone it. Still studying for it, not ready for it. Very hard exam, as some of you might know. But that's it.
Now we'll go into a little bit about your career path while you were in school up until this point. We don't have someone on the call that has the network administrator job title, and I know that you held that for a while. So if anyone has any questions about that, Raphael can also answer those questions. But please tell us your career path from going to school here up until your current position.
So I actually started working as help desk for Cox Communications before I actually decided to get in IT. So that's what actually drove me to join ECPI because I ended up falling in love with it. I ended up, enjoying that type of work. So like everyone else, I put in my 2 years as help desk. I was help desk for a year, then I made it to tier 2 for the second year. And doesn't matter what anyone says, you got to start somewhere, and help desk really helps build that foundation for troubleshooting, customer service, and using your technical abilities or skills that you learn at ECPI. So as I was graduating ECPI, like my last month there, I got a job with another company called Ironclad. And just so happened they took me because I told them I was graduating in a month, and also because I happened to get my Security Plus before I applied. So without that, they wouldn't have even considered me. And I cannot stress Security Plus enough. So I was their network administrator for about 3 years. I started as a junior network administrator. I had a senior guy over me. He's been doing it for 20 years. He left 2 weeks after I joined. And this is where everything really kind of happened for me. So they gave me the option to either hire a senior person to kind of mentor me and work with me, or outsource to a managed service provider. I took all that headache on. I told them I could do it, which I absolutely had no skill to do at the time. So I did fail a lot. I made mistakes. I've taken the network down. I've spent countless hours doing research. But in the end, it really helped me with persistence and perseverance in getting to where I am now. So I'm self-taught besides school. I'm self-taught for all my certifications, all my skills as a network administrator. And I also because it was a great company, I also flex as a network admin, security admin, and the system admin. So all the infrastructure, all the virtualization, all the cloud infrastructure we had, networking and firewalls, I set it up, configured it, designed it, especially because we revamped a couple of times. I did all of that myself, and I had the option to outsource for help every single time. I denied it every time. Again, it was very hard. My wife was very supportive, but I had to work hard to kind of get there. And then after I ended up becoming the IT operations manager. So I kind of held like not the title, but pretty much the information security officer role there. So I was making the decisions for IT by the time I was out. Loved it, loved the power, loved not having to ask anyone for access. Every time don't do this, guys. Don't use your work computer to do personal stuff. But I never had to worry about that because all those alerts went to me. So absolutely loved it. I left there and became a senior security engineer for a heavily cloud-based company called G2 Ops, kind of working clients like NMC, working on NMCI network, NAVC. So client mission critical clients that wanted to move from on-prem to cloud, I was responsible for building the infrastructure and securing it, and then giving it the okay that they can put their submarine warfare data in there. So that was very exciting. But that's when I decided I wanted to pursue offensive security. So it was a grind. I sacrificed a lot of time, but at my time at G2 Ops, that's when I got my CEH Pentest Plus and EJPT all within like each month. and it helped me jump right into pen testing within 3 months after getting all those certs. So now I'm doing the job I love. Absolutely. Think about when I'm sleeping, joke about with my wife. I'm a total geek when it comes to that kind of stuff. So that was my path.
It has been your best friend throughout this whole process and throughout your journey. But what is some advice that you have to current students that maybe aspire to be a pen tester?
So personal development. Jobs are going to ask you to get certifications, or maybe they require it to get the job right out the door. But you have to go beyond that. You don't just study for the certs that you need for the job. You continuously do offhand training on your free time. I'm not saying sacrifice your family time and your fun time going out. I'm saying there are going to be nights where you have to sacrifice doing personal research. You don't get paid for it. You don't get recognition for it, but you do it because it makes you better at your job. And it really helps you stand out among others. And in terms of offensive security and pen testing, there are platforms to use like Hack the Box and Try Hack Me. They're free to use, and you can use that to do gaming style pen testing where you can hack into machines that they provide to you to find the flag that they hide, and absolutely join people in that. Find people that are better than you. And I'll be honest, there's always going to be someone better than you. You're never going to be the best. And you use that to your advantage by following them, letting them mentor you, and taking the constructive criticism that you need. Networking, I agree with Robert on that. Everyone you meet in ECPI, outside of work, in work, anyone you can connect with on LinkedIn, social media, stay connected with them. Check on everybody every once in a while. You never know who's going to be what 10 years from now. When I was getting into pen testing, a couple of buddies, one buddy of mine, he's a cybersecurity director for one of his company. And when I was trying to get into pen testing before I had any experience, he offered me the job just like that because I reached out to him on LinkedIn. I wasn't ready for it, so I declined it. But you never know who's going to be where they're at, who can lend a helping hand. So don't burn any bridges, be kind to everybody, and stay connected, because you're in IT, right? Networking. And then most importantly, have fun doing what you're doing. If you don't have fun doing your job every day, you're going to hate it. And you might have to do some jobs you hate to get to where you want to be. But if you get to a job that you love, don't sacrifice it for more money. Because if you hate doing what you do, you're going to get burnt. You're going to feel burnout real fast, and you're going to hate your job even more. And you're going to end up just going somewhere else that you don't want to be at. So definitely be happy doing what you're doing.
Fantastic panelists, all had different outlooks on how to take their cybersecurity degree into 3 different directions. And all 3 of you guys had awesome advice for everyone. Thank you so much, Raphael. That was awesome. But I would love to open the floor for questions here in the chat. Let me see here. Robert, someone is asking what certifications do you recommend for a position at DroneUp? I know you're working on some right now, but is there something that someone should work on first to get a position at DroneUp?
So it really depends on what you would like to do. Like I said, we're a software company. We don't even make our own drones. We license our drones, we buy our drones from a manufacturer, and our entire business is back-end software. It's the software that allows us to deliver. It's the software that allows us to control our drones in the way that we do that allows us to be so successful. So if you're just talking about coming to a service desk, I would say pretty much almost any service desk that's not touching government or federal networks, you can kind of just go in with practical experience, even just in education. But if you start talking about going into like the developer side of things, we're a heavy developing company, or like cloud networks. Definitely getting into something like CCNA, some sort of like Azure networking, learning the tenants, or Google Cloud Platform. Just So right now I'm studying for Cloud Plus, is because I think that's eventually where I may go. And it will also help me benefit my job. But for as far as coming to my team, education and work experiences will get you through the door, and then you can kind of tailor what kind of certifications you would like to based on the job role you'd like to take. I like to say service desk is more generalist rather than the other two gentlemen who are specialists.
Robert. So also thank you for your service. And someone did ask if you had any open help desk positions at Drone Up. I know you guys just released the internships coming up. I think you have to have a minimum 3.0 GPA for those internships. And it looks like you can apply now if you are pursuing your bachelor's degree. Is that correct?
Yes, so if you see a internship that's posted online, certain groups do have internships open. There's a wide array of people who are doing that internship program. As for the service desk and the IT ops team, we're currently not fulfilling any service desk roles or internships. I know our cloud services team is definitely looking for qualified candidates. So if you have, and you can go to the droneup.com page and then go to careers tab, and then there's all of our open positions. So you can see kind of what they have. And so anything networking that you have, if you have Network Plus, CCNA, any type of Azure, Google Cloud, AWS, any of that type of stuff that's on the networking side or cloud side, you would be qualified for that position. So I would reach out through that channel.
Top secret clearance was necessary, or is it just helpful for your type of sensitive information work?
Well, so to answer that clearly is that a top secret clearances, they aren't something to, I guess, monetize as a goal. It's something that is just put before you and saying, okay, either you are going into this position and this is a requirement, and you just got to submit the information, fill out the paperwork, and you get the thing. It's not like I want my CISSP. I'm gonna go and just look for jobs that are top secret. First of all, that can be considered a red flag, really big red flag, if you just start targeting top secret positions and you don't have any type of clearances before you. So what I can say is that yes, you are right. You can look it up between the designations between secret, top secret. There's secret. There's a SCI involved with top secret. That's when you're going into SCIFs. That's a whole different realm that I have never touched. All I have, I have a secret. So, just to remind you, it's not something that you seek. It's something that you are beholden to by the company, the government, the client, whatever red tape is there that needs you to be cleared for that position, and you just provide the information.
About a system admin position, and what academic and study materials should they master to make them a prime candidate?
For me, so certifications. So I'll tell you a funny story. When I was at NMCI and I was working that Windows 10 job, somebody came up to me and told me about the position that I got. I actually kind of swooped it from under them because they were too afraid to apply because it said MCSA on the job description. It's one thing that you guys got to kind of harden up on, is that understand the industry and understand it well, because there's some things that go on to these job descriptions that they will overlook. They don't care. Now, Security Plus, that is something that they will all care about when you're going into a government position. I'll keep reiterating that because it's so difficult to get a position if you don't have it. But so as far as it going now, I got in there if you're talking about like my company specifically, we're so wide and like broad that we have many positions that are out there. You just need to go to our career site It's CACI.com. You go on there, you select the location. We're nationwide. So you can either work here, you can work in Texas, you can work in Washington State. Just choose where you want to go.
So Raphael, you have a few questions in here before we wrap things up. Did you end up writing your own scripts for discovered vulnerabilities, or did you pull from GitHub, etc.?
So no, GitHub, Metasploit, the databases are all out there for exploits. As a pen tester, that's your focus. Exploit development is its own field. Now I am slowly getting into that because it's a very interesting field. So I'm doing a lot of Python, PowerShell, a lot of C#. That's part of what I'm studying right now and using in the real world. But generally, unless you want to spend hours making the exploits yourself, let someone else, let the super geniuses make them in the background and post them out there, and you use them yourself. But you do need to know how to read programming language, because what happens is those GitHub repositories that are out there a lot of people like to troll. So they can do something like wipe your entire hard drive, or ransomware can already be built into it. So you need to understand programming language enough to know what is actually legitimate and what's not. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Box that says they put a lot of time into websites like Try Hack Me and Hack the Box. Does that skill set transfer over into real world applications?
It does and it doesn't. So in real world scenarios, they have security administrators and engineers. They're not going to be as vulnerable as the ones on Hack the Box and Try Hack Me. With that being said, it does happen where they have those little holes that they forgot to patch. The whole point of Try Hack Me and Hack the Box is it exposes you to different attack vectors in thousands of different ways, so that when you come across them in the real world, you're able to identify them. And they might not be identical to what you see in Try Hack Me or Hack the Box, but you know enough to start pulling away at that thread until you get to that little vulnerability that's hiding behind 50 web pages in, or behind the web language that they're using, the frameworks.
I want to get this in. Someone's saying that they have their Security Plus and their CCNA certifications. They're working on the CYSA Plus. And he's looking at entry-level job positions, but it seems like they are requiring 3 to 6 years of experience. Do you have advice on how to land an entry-level position during school? Maybe something about the interview process or application process that will help that.
I'll be honest, it's pretty brutal out there. A lot of companies say entry-level position, and by that they want someone with 2 years, which is very unfair. So it's not the best answer, but what everyone has to do at some point is put in the work at the very tier 1 help desk, that foundation. That's the easiest job to get into, because they're going to take anyone that will take that job, and then you can move up from there. With that being said, if you're able to get any certifications before that, you set yourself apart from the thousands of other people that's trying to do the same thing you are. So it's a game of personal development, right? Who really tries to get a Security Plus without actually having a job that will pay for it, right? Who's paying their own money out of their own pocket because they care enough to get a CCNA or CISA, because they're not cheap. And as students, and I care about every dollar. As a student, you don't want to, it's not cheap to invest in yourself. So you got to make yourself stand out however way you can.
All three again, you guys all provided valuable information to our students. And I think I can speak for all three of you. If anyone wants to look you up on LinkedIn and ask questions that way, I'm sure that you three would be open to that. So if anyone has any other questions that they didn't ask in the chat and they want to ask these guys specifically, look them up on LinkedIn and message them that way. Like they said, networking is everything. So best of luck out there. And thank you guys again for joining us as our panelists. You did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Have a great night.
Yeah, everyone have a great night. Thank you.